Rockford Fire Department Division Chief Matt Knott says it's, quote, clear we have a fire problem after a fourth vacant building is destroyed in an early morning fire. My co-anchor Mike Garrigan is live as we begin team coverage on the string of fires over the past 2 weeks. Mike?
Yes, Brianna, it sounds absolutely crazy, but I'm standing in front of the fourth Rockford fire scene that investigators are actively working on. Division Chief Knott says arson remains a possibility with 3 of the 4 fires. The first at the Hanley Furniture Building in the 300 block of South Main on June 25th. 1 week later, the building in the 300 block of 7th Street was destroyed in an overnight fire. And then this morning's fire in the 600 block of 7th Street. The fourth fire that happened on Tuesday in the 800 block of Main Street, investigators believe arson was not at play.
23 News.
Again, thank you, Brianna, live at District 3 headquarters. Police O'Shea said words don't describe it, beyond difficult, we're all family, it hurts. Just one of the quotes from today's news conference here to announce the passing of Jamie Cox, the 7th Rockford police officer to die in the line of duty. Here's what we have learned so far about Officer Cox. He joined the Rockford Police Department as a patrol officer in December of 2016. Before that, he was a part of the Law Enforcement Division of the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. Cox is a 2006 graduate of Hononegah High School. He was also honorably discharged from the U.S. Army National Guard. As you can see, dozens of officers formed a processional leaving OSF St. Anthony Hospital this morning. Several officers gathered around the public safety building, offering support to one another and showing solidarity after tragedy strikes a fellow man in blue. Throughout the city, flags are lowered to half-staff in honor of Officer Cox. This is a photo of a flag lowered at the Auburn roundabout right there at Auburn and Main. There are half-staff flags throughout the city of Rockford and the state line commemorating Officer Cox. He is the 7th Rockford police officer to be killed in the line of duty since 1917. The last one was Detective Kevin Rice Sr., who died back in August of 2001. Patrol Officer Randall Blank was shot and killed in December of 1980. Patrol Officer Charles Williams died in 1972. Patrol Officers Arthur Bassett and Frank Sicella were both killed in 1927, and Patrol Officer Lorenzo Gilogli was shot and killed in 1917. Students across the U.S. and the Rock River Valley walk out of school today. The biggest demonstration of student activism for tighter gun control measures. 23 News weekend anchor Courtney Adams tells us why dozens of Rockford East students decided to leave their classrooms.
Charles Street was one area that saw major flooding during last Monday's storm. This afternoon's rainfall caused some flooding near the intersection of 9th and Charles Streets near Swedish American Hospital. In this video sent to us by Mindy, you can see the water levels are halfway up some car tires. And this photo sent to us by Aaron Curran Brown shows standing water on Material Avenue in Loves Park. You can see at least one car trying to drive through the flood.
And take a look at this. A storm that went north of Galena may have formed a tornado just outside of Platteville, Wisconsin. This is video from Tyler Johnson showing the funnel cloud. According to Grant County Emergency Management, that funnel is believed to have touched down. Another photo here captured by Dustin and Stephanie King. This is just outside of Argyle in Greene County off Highway 81. Law enforcement in the area report a funnel cloud was spotted near Argyle just after 2:30. Days ahead of graduation, students at Dixon High School run from their gymnasium, fleeing a gunman who opened fire.
Investigators are now working to learn more about the gunman, his motive, and the school resource officer who kept the students safe. All Dixon public schools were placed on lockdown around 8 this morning after the shots were fired. Dixon City Manager Danny Langlaw says no students or staff were hurt in the shooting. And here's what we've learned so far about the suspect. Investigators say he's a 19-year-old former student of Dixon High School. The suspect reportedly entered the Lancaster Gymnasium and began firing. He was then shot by school resource officer Mark Dallas. The suspect was taken into custody and treated for what authorities call non-life-threatening injuries. According to Dixon police, he's now under 24-hour watch at a local hospital.
Our next step is, of course, to have a fair and thorough investigation. And after that, a potential fair and thorough prosecution. While we can't share any details right now, that is exactly what's going to happen in this case.
Students and community members are reacting to the news of the shooting and sharing what they witnessed.
23 News reporter Courtney Bunting is live outside the high school. She tells us how many are reacting to a normal day that took a turn for the worst. Courtney?
That's right. Students were released earlier this morning, so you can see the scene behind me is pretty clear here at Dixon High School. Around 8 a.m. was whenever they were released shortly afterwards, and they've been clearing out ever since. Now, to the side of me, you can't see it right now, but there are police officers continually monitoring the area. State police are also involved here as the day progresses. Now, students tell me they're shocked that this happened. The high school has only 800 students here at Dixon. Community members say this is a tight-knit city, and they rarely hear about this kind of violence happening so close to home. Students say they're still coming to terms with what they witnessed.
We heard like 5 shots go off, and all of us were just kind of froze. We didn't really know what was going on. The teachers didn't know what was going on. And I looked down the hallway and saw like what looked like a kid with a black hoodie, and I saw he had a gun that was like smoking, and then I saw him run out the doors, and then that's when I realized, I was like, oh, this is real, like this is happening.
Dallas, that school resource officer is now on paid administrative leave. Again, he was uninjured. For now, outside Dixon High School, I'm Courtney Bunting for 23 News.
Thank you, Courtney. The FBI, as well as the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, have assisted in the investigation with Dixon Police and the Lee County Sheriff's Office.
Dixon Public Schools says the high school will not be in session tomorrow due to the ongoing investigation. According to the school district, DHS staff will still be at the school. Preschool through 8th grade will still be in session. Dixon Public Schools says there will be a heightened police presence at all Dixon buildings. With it being the hottest day of the year, we decided to do a little oven-free baking outdoors.
Now, this is a live look from our cookie cam. This batch of cookies has been baking in a car outside in our WIFR parking lot for about 4 hours, and they look to be just about done. I'm really curious to see how they taste. Unfortunately, we tried to fry some eggs, but didn't really have much luck there. It's just not hot enough.
Trips to Cocoa Key, to proms, weddings, and parties held at the resort. Many of you have shared your memory at the clock tower with us. In fact, one person says, so sad to see such a great landmark torn down. Had a lot of memories there and made some good friends. Many of you were sad to see the clock tower go, as you could see here, and this person hoped it would be saved. And finally, another person talked about several memories they had at the clock tower, and they want something good to go in its place, like, here's an idea, an IKEA. And with so many of you reminiscing, we felt it was a good time to look at the clock tower's history. Construction began on Henrice's Motor Inn and Restaurant in 1966, with its official opening 2 years later in May 1968.
A 16-year-old girl is dead, her grandmother fighting for her life after police say a man lost control and shot the 2 victims before he was taken down by authorities. Winnebago County Sheriff's deputies say 36-year-old Michael Murnak is under 24-hour surveillance at a local hospital. Investigators are identifying Murnak as a friend of the teenage victim's mom. We looked deeper into his record, which shows she filed an order of protection against Murnak in November, nearly a month before the crime. Murnak's rap sheet very long, including domestic violence charges that date back to the late 90s. Murnak was shot this morning by 2 Winnebago County Sheriff's deputies after they say he killed the teen and then injured her 63-year-old grandma at their home in the 1000 block of Minns Drive. This was after midnight. Winnebago County deputies say the 2 are on paid administrative leave as the Winnebago-Boone County Task Force investigates. Now, investigators tell us they're also looking into a social media account which shows this Facebook status posted roughly an hour before the crime. We've replaced the swear words with blank, saying, quote, I'm blank up, so if you're on my list, watch out. Again, this is just another element officers are looking into.
13 hours after a Rock County mother reports the sexual assault of her 14-year-old daughter, a former Beloit police officer is taken into custody. Beloit Police Chief David Zabolski couldn't say how 62-year-old Larry Woods met the victim, but charges allege Woods sexually assaulted her at least 3 times within the past year. Zabolski says the FBI could soon be involved with the case, saying Woods allegedly violated the Federal Mann Act, which prohibits anyone from taking someone across state lines to commit a crime of sexual assault or prostitution. Zabolski says Woods worked as a Beloit police officer for 25 years before retiring in 2007. He then worked as a security guard for the Beloit Public Library as well as with the Beloit School District. Woods has been placed on administrative leave from the library. Chief Zabolski says the evidence against Woods makes this case more than just allegations. He says actions like this hurt the work done by law-abiding officers.
It does cause a ripple effect in the community, from outrage to disbelief, and we can probably see that just looking at social media this morning, but that we have, and that doesn't change our legal and ethical responsibility to fully, completely investigate these matters.
An update on that breaking news story we first brought you at 5. We've learned the aircraft that possibly had an engine fire has landed safely with more than 100 people on board at the Rockford airport.
We know it was a Legion Air. It was headed to Punta Gorda. And now 23 News reporter Cameron Coy, who was the first at the scene, is now live at RFD. And Cameron, what are fire crews telling us right now?
Yeah, so what we know right now is there was 138 people who were on board the plane. The plane got about 10 miles out heading towards Florida when it realized it had some problems, needed to turn around and come back.